the most used champagne yeast out there. It does a wonderful job, especially in secondary. DV10 and EC1118. EC1118 is analogous to Premier Cuvée. They're both a Prise de Mousse isolate, and they both ferment very, very nicely. It's very good in the secondary because it gives that, typical acrid, bready, yeasty kind of nose with, citrus and some of the other kind of characters that you would expect from a, method championnat fermentation done with, like, the EC1118 in secondary. They'll make the different cuvées either with DV10 or EC1118, and then when they blend those together and give it the dosage, then, that's where it all comes together. But I don't really have a go-to yeast. The honey tells me which yeast to use, so if I'm, depending on the honey that I'm going to taste, I use different yeast for it. If I'm going to say that I've got one yeast that I use more than most of the others, it's D21. And if I'm going to do a batch of something, I usually run 3 fermentations or at least 2 fermentations concurrently. So if I'm doing a batch with, say, D21, then I'll also do a batch of either RP15 or SYR, SYR. They're calling it Syrah now, I think. Both of those blend really, really well with your base mead. And to take a look at is, all of the individual yeasts are great, but none of them all have the whole package. Some of them will give you aroma, some of them give you aroma and a little bit of flavor, some of them give you flavor but not much aroma. So you want to work with the ones that you may not be familiar with and read up on those descriptions to find out how you can round out that base, mead that you're making. And that's why I like D21. It gives great mouthfeel, it gives great aroma, it gives great character, and, great front to back, evolution across the palate. But if you blend that with something like SYR, you get to put in some of that really nice kind of smoky, violet, floral kind of characters with it, kind of enhance the natural floral attributes of the honey, but also give you a nice, different aroma too, like violets. I mean, if you try it sometime, just do a 1 gallon batch honey, like go with something like either sage or clover or orange blossom. And it's from Lallemande, and you'll definitely notice the violets in it. There's no getting away from it.
I'm like loving this the violet smoky that's got a whole that's really intriguing.
Well, I mean, it's just one of those things where you taste your yeast, and then you want to be familiar enough with a fair number of yeast to go like, okay, so this tastes kind of nutty, and it's got really good floral attributes, and it's kind of sweet to like the butterscotchy sweet or the caramelic kind of sweet. And then you want to mentally kind of run down the list of things that in your head, the yeast that you have that kind of match up to that profile. And then you want to take a look at some blending yeasts that bring some complexity and some different kind of dimensions to it. But there's a lot of them like that. Use for instance, BA11. That's really good if you want to blend it with something like QA23. Those are actually both Portuguese isolates, and they work really, really well with like a standard, sweet mead. They look great in piments that are using, like white wine grapes, especially those that are high in terpenes and monoterpenes like Sauvignon Blanc. They look wonderfully in that too. So it's a whole blending thing where you can just, get your base flavor, taste the other ones, and kind of just work them back and forth until you got this really smooth, wonderful, complex, kind of mead.
Now I'm thinking that we need to do an entire show around yeast blending. Because that's a...
See, told ya.
I know, right? You
telling
have.
For weeks.
You have.
Definitely, yes. I just don't know anything about it.
Yeah. The only reason I'm so up on it is because the one time that I tried it, and frankly, it was, by accident, it made the best mead I've ever made. And I was like, hey, there's something to this blending thing,
Well, there you go. Success.
His nefarious plan has succeeded.
Yeah, no, it's true. And honestly, the first time that I did a blend, I was, I can't remember when it was, but I do remember the result, and it was better than either one of the two. Literally, the sum was better than the individual parts, and there are variations on that all over the place. You see that in just about, especially in things like port and other kind of wine, champagne, for instance. They do generally champagne is made from 2 red grapes and 1 white grape, and they ferment each one of those separately. Then they blend them to keep that kind of signature profile that each of the individual champagnes are known for. And then they go ahead and do the secondary fermentation.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So, okay. I was listening to what you were saying about that some yeasts have the aroma, some yeasts have the flavor. And while we're talking about go-to yeast, that's why one of the reasons that the 1138 became mine, the Belgian strong ale from Yeast.
Okay.
Is that I felt that after I did D21 and I did all the ones that were in the books that were popular for Mead, but the one that gave me that I think a little bit of each thing, body, flavor, and a wonderful aroma was the Yeast that they call it. I guess. Are we calling it the Mead yeast now?
Calling it the bomb yeast.
It's the bomb yeast, yeah.
The bomb yeast, right? To me, I use it all the time. I even tried making cider out of it, and I love the cider it made too. It's quickly becoming like my go-to yeast that I'll whenever I'm doing something new, I'll try that first.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Manny, do you often get a buttery character out of that? Because the bottle of BOM, one of the first ones that you made, bomb that you sent me, basically it was a dry mead. When we tasted it, we couldn't quite pick it, but one of the people tasting it noticed, and it basically tasted like honey and butter on toast. Like you used to mix it up, and that was what it tasted like. Or at least smelt like. I can't recall exactly. But do you get a lot of battery characteristics from the 1388, or was that like a once-off?
It sounds like diacetyl.
Yeah, no. I do get...
It's good diacetyl then.
Yeah, I do get some buttery stuff, but yeah, that must have been a once a one-off thing. The one I sent you was a blend. I had blended that with because it came out way too dry, and I had another one that was way too sweet, and that's a blend. But I do believe that the other one was not 1388 that I blended with for the bomb. Maybe it was it was 1388. It was just one that had higher alcohol and was sweeter.
Was that the same one you sent me?
It's the same one I sent you. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't catch buttery at all, but then again, as my mom says, my taste isn't my toast.
Well, and also
we couldn't pick it until someone else had a taste, and then when you were told what it was, it stood out like the dog's proverbials.
It was also, I think it was also like maybe the third batch of bomb I had made, and maybe the fifth batch of mead or sixth batch of mead in general. That was almost 2 years ago now. No, I think something like that.
It was very, very early on. I'll agree with that.
I really, really owe you a bottle back.
Me too.
Now what y'all got to do is come to the Mazer Cup and then find Pete. He brings all sorts of interesting stuff.
Oh yeah, that's in when is it again? It's in April.
No, March.
March. Okay.
Mazercup.com.
Yeah, March 8th through 12th this year, or 2017, excuse me.
Okay. But yeah, that's it. 1388. That's me.
Nice.
What's yours, Hamish?
Mine's K1V because I had some good success with it, and then they stopped importing it into Australia. We have to use OK now, which is supposed to be a replacement, but it has a lower tolerance. But the main reason I'm using it is because they stopped importing it. It went out of date. What the guy had in his fridge, and it was he mentioned to me that there might be some 12 kilos out in the dumpster if I wanted to go and fish it out, but he wasn't selling it anymore. So I still have a remainder of 6 kilos, about 12 pound, just sitting around in the freezer and the fridge that still makes quite good mead. So that's basically the reason I use it more than anything else, is I don't have to go out and buy any.
Nice. Where the world is away, right?
Indeed, and if I'm bringing it in from America, I'll be getting another 10 kilos. So.
Apparently, we make Lalvin yeasts in Canada.
Oh.
Yep.
Whereas I think some of the American ones are imported from Europe.
Croatia.
Cool.
Oh,
Fun.
So other yeasts that I tend to keep in my toolbox, I keep RC212, 71B, D47, and bread yeast. What I've found with RC212 is I really, really like the results, but it's a real whiny pants while it's fermenting. It needs way more care and feeding and attention, and it throws off weird smells if you're not careful with it, and I think it's the one responsible for the vomit flavor the last time I had that, and it's a pain in the arse, but I really like the results. Like, I think that's what I think I'm now exclusively using that when I do a red currant batch, because it's so nice for fruits.
Yeah, it works great with fruit, especially blueberries as well.
Yeah, that's your blueberry, your Blues My Berries is RC212, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the blueberry that won't die. I racked that sucker, and it blooped more. You know? I mean, the thing is just, I've got it all, everything's all clumped around an air conditioning vent because I haven't been able to find the right freezer to set up for a temperature control area, so it's just I've got it racked into a 5-gallon pail and a 1-gallon jug, or a 5-gallon carboy and a 1-gallon carboy, and it's going to town. And it started a week ago Thursday. It went from 1.145 to 1.035 yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah.
wow.
It's busy.
So it's working in heat.
Yeah, it is.
How long is it there?
It's running right around 70 where it's at, so it's definitely warmer than it should be, but it's as cool as I can get it with what I've got, basically, without putting it in a bucket of ice, which I can't really. So I don't have a big enough bucket. If I did, it'd be actually I have a 15-gallon carboy I got when the stupid thing blew through the airlocks. I went and picked up a 15-gallon fermenter that the strawberry lived in for a few days. So I might just go ahead and fill that with 5-6 bags of ice and just plunk the whole carboy in there and see what that does.
I'm so envious of you. Blueberries are so expensive here, and we get about 4 gallons a week off the farm, but I'm not allowed to make mead from it, and I'm very dirty about it.
I'm one of the few lucky ones who gets to pick wild blueberries when it's a good year, so I've actually made wild blueberry wine, and that is just fantastic.
Oh, I'll bet.
However, the last time I had that many blueberries to contend with, I didn't know about RC212, but now that I do, it's what I will try next time, if there is a next time. It's just, they're really, really labor intensive because the little suckers are the size of peas.
But so worth it. They have 5 times the flavor of the big ones.
Oh yeah,
they do.